We're back. It's right versus left. We've got Reem and we've got Stephen. So what we're going to talk about this week is political donations to the main parties, and the rumour that's circulating around Parliament is that Elon Musk might donate $100 million to the Reform UK party. I'd be delighted with that, actually. But Stephen, is it okay for people from other countries to try and to donate and possibly influence our elections?
I'm not happy with the idea. And I think, to a certain extent, Elon Musk can do what he wants with his money. And he wants to give it through X, or whatever his company's called.
Well, in order for him to do it, he'd have to do it with a British incorporated company.
Yeah, because he's a South African citizen. Yeah, so take your point. But look, there's a real issue here about donations to political parties. And I remember, when we won in 97, the first problem we had was Bernie Ecclestone giving a huge amount of money. There's always, because nobody gives money without a hook in the middle of it. That's the difficulty. And the old thing about who pays the piper calls the tune is a real problem with that. But if you look at what's happening in Romania today with Georgescu, who's a very pro-Putin populist in there, and there's a huge amount of Russian interference in that. And
the difference is,
I'm unhappy about it.
Elon Musk is a private individual, and what he does with his money is entirely of his own volition. And ultimately,
I still don't like it, though.
Well, that's fine. You cannot like it, but you probably don't like it because you don't want Reform to be as successful as be more successful than the Labour Party. Unfortunately,
how dare you?
Well, that's ultimately the point.
Yeah. They're behind us in about 200 seats.
Yeah, but Stephen, you just said if you give money to a political party, there's a hook in there somewhere.
Of course there is.
So what about the trade unions giving money to the Labour Party?
Less and less every year.
Well, what about Lord Ali that got a number 10 pass as a result of his donation
that's a
to
good
the Labour
one, Lord
Party?
Ali.
I'm sorry, Lord Ali is a member of Parliament. I mean, he's got every right to have a pass to come into Downing
No, he
Street.
doesn't. Why does every single other Labour Lord?
I did.
Does every other Labour Lord have a number 10 pass? Stephen, that's outrageous.
That's
outrageous.
Sorry, he had
the reason why
he had a 10-day pass.
The reason why he got a number 10 pass close to Keir Starmer is because he was a donor. So don't give me that. Don't tell me that it was absolutely fine as a member of Parliament. I don't see any other Labour Lords with number 10 passes.
Stephen, will you be quiet and let Reem get a word in?
I beg your pardon.
It's all right. I'll give you a slap.
Come on. Did you see that? Security, please come. No, go on, Steve. The trade unions, they've got a hook into the Labour Party with big donations.
Look, hang on a second, Lee. The trade unions formed the Labour Party.
But that's not an argument, Steve.
Hang on a second. So you and I have both been trade unionists in our working life. And what we want in the trade unions is actually the same principle that the Labour Party was. That's that solidarity and community. And so I don't see any problem with it.
Where is the solidarity and community when train drivers on upwards of £67,000 a year are still striking? And the reason for that is because they see a Labour government.
What train drivers are striking?
Train drivers. They cancelled their strike at the beginning of November.
So you're wrong.
Because they got another pay deal, a second pay deal from a Labour government. So the point still remains. Unions fund the Labour Party and they're able to have a foothold under the Labour government. They attempted to do the same thing with the Conservative Party, and the Conservative Party were incredibly weak in government. And it meant that what happened is that they entirely gave in. The Labour Party are much more likely to give in. The point is, any private individual or private organisation has the complete right to do whatever they want with their own money. And if Elon Musk wishes to donate to Reform, he has every right to do so.
A number of individuals, I'm thinking of Bamford's, the JCB people, who give a huge amount of money to the Conservative Party. They give much more collectively than they do the trade union. Don't forget, not every trade union funds the Labour Party. I wish they did. But,
so why do you have a problem
the biggest
with Elon
unions,
Musk,
like the teachers, they don't actually fund the Labour Party.
So why do you have a problem with Elon Musk?
Because the trade unions...
It's because you don't like him. It's okay when they do it, but not okay when they do it.
Trade unions are part of the warp and weft of this nation. They're ordinary working men and women. Elon Musk...
Why do you get to decide? Why do you get to decide who is okay and who isn't?
I don't decide that Elon Musk is a South African entrepreneur who's a profoundly weird individual. He is. That's the fact. Trade unions...
It's not a fact, it's your opinion. I think he's brilliant. He's done more for the world than any government when it comes to environmental policy. Net zero, all of this stuff is absolute... He's
a complete climate denier.
He's expanded EVs, electric vehicles, more than anybody has ever done. And it is proof, by the way, that you don't need government net zero policies to solve climate change. What you need is private individuals, entrepreneurs that result in technological advancements like Elon Musk.
Electric vehicles will only succeed if you have tax advantages and tax disadvantages. Nobody will want to buy an electric vehicle unless there's
why there's 60 million electric vehicles on the roads
and less are being sold percentage-wise every day.
Electric vehicles are much cheaper now than they ever have been, and the reason reason for
They're
that
not.
is because entrepreneurs,
They're
they are.
not.
They are cheaper now than they ever have been. And the reason for that is because entrepreneurs are able to do so.
She's got a point
Elon
there.
Musk
She's got
has
a
done
point there.
that.
I'm gonna chip in. There's a reason, Stephen, we don't drive around on the roads on horse and carts.
Yes.
You might remember those days. I certainly don't. But there is a reason for that because of entrepreneurs.
It's because of capitalism. It's because of the free market. It's because entrepreneurs like Elon Musk have contributed to this world. And I think he has every right to support parties that uphold those ideologies, that uphold the system, that allow people to be successful.
The reason why we drive around in cars, not in horses and carts, is because the state supported Gottlieb Daimler and various other people
That's
in Germany.
Just not true.
I'm sorry. If you actually have a look at the origin of the motor car came because of state support for universities in Germany.
So actually, yes, you are right. Historically, that's true. But it's unequivocally untrue to say that the reason why we have such economic success today is because of the state. It's not true. It's because businesses have been able to provide things that other people
and where
want.
did they get their education?
Where do they get their education? Depends on the country and depends on the state. Ultimately, I think that you can't sit here and say that the British state education system is one of success. I went through the state education system in the UK. It was not great. Well, most people.
You did all right.
Thank you. I did okay. Well, that's a result of working hard.
Time for the yes or no quiz. Reem, you must have watched this programme.
I have. I love this programme.
Okay, best programme on GB?
Best programme in the world.
In the world. Okay. It's time for the yes-no quiz. And it's got to be yes or a no. You know this, Reem. You know this, Stephen. You've actually won a few of these, haven't you?
Yes.
You see, he's not going to fall for it. Right. Question number one. Remember, yes or no. No verbal ticking allowed. No grunting. No moaning. That's difficult.
No nuance.
Yeah. Should we cap immigration?
No.
Stephen.
Yes.
Ooh. Stephen, can Parliament be trusted with immigration?
Yes.
No.
Conflict. Reem, over in the US, will Donald Trump stop illegal migration?
Yes.
Stephen.
No.
Stephen, will Starmer smash the gangs?
Yes.
No.
Stephen, should Elon Musk be allowed to donate to Reform UK?
Yes.
Yes.
5-5. Wonders, he never sees. Stephen, you did quite well in that. Would you like a tiebreaker?
Got no choice, mate.
Wrong answer.
You're crafty.
Reem, would you like a tiebreaker?
Yes.
We don't need one now, do we?
I won, you lose.
You crafty person.
Do you want to come back on one, Reem? Can Parliament be trusted with immigration?
So it's interesting that your initial question before was, do we need a cap on immigration? I don't think that's true. I think we need businesses to provide the jobs, and it's provided that there are those jobs, those migrants should be able to come and fill them, should they wish to. When it comes to Parliament being trusted on immigration, I don't think it should be the government's decision about whether or not those migration figures are correct, which is why I don't believe in net zero migration tomorrow. I don't think that's the government's right to implement it. I think if there are other jobs here, people should be allowed to come. They shouldn't be allowed to take taxpayer money and effectively take out from the benefit system. So I don't believe in that.
But Reem, if the government isn't going to set this, who is?
Who is?
Yeah.
As I just said, businesses. If you come,
So individual businesses have individual laws for individual numbers of
no,
people.
it's not the laws, Stephen. Don't be silly.
Yeah.
It's if there are. It's if
Don't
there
be
are.
silly. Now you've started that.
If there are the jobs there, people should be allowed to come and fill them. So I don't know what the number is, but what will happen is that if there are the jobs there, and businesses like Lord Wolfson's Next, they have the jobs there, and people want to come and fill those jobs, they should have the right to do so. So it's not the government.
I can understand Lord Wolfson. You're on about Lord Wolfson, who's done some great work, by the way.
Yes.
And you can understand his frustrations with the system, that he's actually saying this. I would imagine that he would love to have British workers working in his
the way the
shops.
system works at the moment.
Too many people are on benefits and not working.
You can issue a work permit, but first of all, you have to actually advertise the job locally to see if anybody, if nobody
Under current
takes
law,
that job,
but I'd scrap that
under
law.
current law. So what you'd say is, if somebody says, "I want 5 dentists," I can actually just import 5 dentists.
Absolutely. It shouldn't be up to the government to decide. It should be up to private businesses to decide.
So
That's my point. I don't believe the government.
That would
I
be
don't
bad
believe,
for the nation, wouldn't it?
It would
Because it would
not be bad
drive
for
down
the
the.
nation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it would.
No, it wouldn't. The reason
it would
why
drive down the
reason, Stephen, the reason why people in this country, this is the lump of labour fallacy. The idea that if we are to import migration, this is an economic concept. The idea that if we are to import loads of people, that suddenly means that wages are suppressed. That's not true. The problem at the moment is that we have huge amounts of people on benefits, a tenth of the adult working population are on long-term sickness benefits. That is a scandal. That is a disgrace.
National scandal.
When huge amounts of people are on benefits in this country, and then at the same time we're importing 1 million people, net migration a year, clearly there's a disconnect here. I don't think it's up to the government to decide. They should remove those benefits so British people can actually work and fill those jobs.
Right, guys, that's it.
So you're saying the government should be decided.
Guys, Stephen,
the government should take it away.
please reduce your aggressive attitude. I want to have second thoughts about.
She's beating me up here.
You're doing it again. Reem apologised for his behaviour.